to On the Couch with Nomzamo. Today's topic is no easy one because we're talking about mothers to angel babies. Because think about it, a wife who loses a husband is called a widow. A child who loses his parents is called an orphan. But what do we call a woman or a parent who has just lost their child? You can check in the dictionary or Google. There's simply no word. That's how awful and painful this loss is. I once posed the same question on social media, and a friend who was also mourning an angel baby responded, "I'm a mom." And I thought, yeah, a mother or a parent who's lost their baby is in fact a mom. And think about it, losing a baby, no matter how it happens or how early in the pregnancy, it is just as devastating. It's a time of sadness where parents need love, support, empathy, encouragement more than ever. As you may all know, On the Couch with Nomzamo has dedicated the month of May to celebrating mothers. We celebrate mothers to angel babies too, because for that beautiful and shorter time, that child had a heartbeat that was beating inside of its mother. That heartbeat, that beautiful time bond created between mother and child, actually makes that mother a mother. And when we go about celebrating Mother's Day, mothers to angel babies deserve to be celebrated too. So yeah, today on the couch we have our guest, Ushela Hobiane, who is a mother to an angel baby, or angel babies for that matter, and is here to share her journey with us. Welcome to On the Couch, Shela.
Thank you so much, Nomzamo. It's such an honor to be here on the couch with you.
Shela, please take us through your journey, how you became an angel, a mom to an angel baby. How many angel babies are we talking about?
Okay, my first journey, it started May 2018, and I'm a mother to 3 angels.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm a mother to 3 angels. So in May 2018, I remember very well, it was towards the end of the month where I was expecting my cycle. And I was late with 2 days. And yeah, so through what we learned at school, you learn that sometimes due to hormonal changes, you might be late on your cycle with maybe a week, 3 days, or whatsoever. But then it has to play around those dates, you know. So I've decided to wait 3 more days to see if I can have my cycle. But after that 3 days, so my periods were nowhere to be found, you know. So I remember it was lunchtime when I went to the mall, and then I bought a pregnancy test, and then I got home, took the test, and it came back positive. And the excitement, the joy, like it's absolutely nothing can be compared to, you know. And I couldn't wait to break the news to my partner, because it was something that for for quite a while now, it's something that was part of the plan, trying for a little one. Yeah. So yeah, and he came home, and then I did tell him the news. And now, as soon as you find out that there is a little one in you, like your whole mentality, it changes.
And it doesn't matter how long you found out, how long into the pregnancy you are.
Exactly. because then you know that you'll be sharing your life with someone else. Every organ, every part of you, it's now going to be the two of you sharing that. And yeah, and I remember 2 months down the line, and then I remember it was in the morning. We were preparing to go to work, and then I'm the one who took a shower first. And then when I got in the shower, I just saw blood.
Oh dear.
And yeah, then I didn't want to panic, because then if it's not something serious, because I do understand that at some early stages there can be some spotting that happens, but then if you overstress yourself, then it's going to be another story.
Yeah, it gets complicated.
So then I took a shower, and then when I walked out of the shower, and then I told my partner, this is the story, and he was panicking like never before. And I said to him, no, you need to stay calm because we don't know what's happening. Then I waited to see a doctor. Then when I got to the doctor, I remember that doctor, in her practice, she didn't have a scan. So when she didn't have a scan, if you can't, like when things happen, you can't think straight. You're asking yourself what is happening. There's a lot of questions. So if you just walk around and then you see a doctor's room, you just walk in because you need help as soon as possible. And then when I got there, and then I explained my situation, and then she said to me, okay, I'll be more than happy to assist you, but
she doesn't have a scan.
I do not have a scan, but the least that I can do is to give you a referral letter to go to the hospital and see what is happening. So I went to the hospital, and when I got there, I was surrounded by 3 doctors to actually confirm that the baby's still there, or did I miscarry, or what was the case. And then they did a pregnancy test. It still came back positive. And then they did a scan. When they did a scan, there was no fetus in the womb.
No fetus or no heartbeat? No fetus. But the pregnancy test says you test positive.
Yes. Remember, you can miscarry, but if it happened maybe a day before, or maybe in that morning, the AGC would still read that you're pregnant. So in my case, it simply says when I went to the loo, when I passed out urine, I passed out the fetus without me noticing.
Yeah.
Then in that case, there was no fetus. So my first scan, when it came back, it was it showed that the baby's okay, the heartbeat was there, but in this matter, the baby was like the fetus came out without me noticing that the fetus came out. And then after that, they had to call another doctor to come and confirm that the fetus is not there. And the doctor really confirmed that you might have passed out the fetus together with...
What's going on in your head at that time, surrounded by all these doctors confirming what you're not ready to hear?
It was really devastating. It was a very, very sad moment for me, because in my head, I had that mentality that at least if one doctor would say, no, I found something, that kind of thing. But then all of them, actually the 5th one, did confirm that there is absolutely no product in your womb. So I had to walk out of there with that void in my heart, the emptiness, something that you were not ready for. And then it was a situation where I had to go back to the doctor who referred me, and herself, she couldn't take it. Like she couldn't believe, because she was actually suggesting that she puts me on 2 weeks bed rest. Maybe the fetus is still developing.
Yeah.
And I said to her, okay, whatever that could work, it's okay. But in my mind, I'm like, there's no way it could happen, because our first scan came back saying the baby's okay, the heartbeat is there, and then now is this, But it was just that thing that should it be a 2 weeks bed rest, then it would be time for me to have time to myself, time to heal and whatsoever. And yeah, that's how I lost my first pregnancy.
When you talk about the emptiness, I remember with my son, we found out we were pregnant post the first trimester actually. But with my daughter, we found out I think it was at 5 weeks. But the funny thing is that the moment the pregnancy was confirmed, I started all sorts of funny things. To a point where the pregnancy was confirmed on a Friday. On a Monday, I didn't feel well. I went to the doctor already, and he put me on bed rest. I mean, I only found out on Friday. Yeah. On Monday, I was put on 2-week bed rest, and I did. But then once I started going back to work after the 2-week bed rest, I started spotting. Like you, I thought, okay, no, spotting, and we're friends of Google. We Google, and okay. And then this one day, as I bled, and I remember when I got into the hospital, I didn't even go to the emergency room. I just went to the reception and I said, I need a doctor right now.
Right away.
And fortunately, there was an old woman there. I can't remember, it was Sister Who, but no, I think she's on retirement now. That's how old she was at the time. She just looked at me. She saw blood going down my legs, and she said, sit down. I will get you the best doctor. She got me a doctor, Dr. Chrysostomus. He left everything and he attended to me on that day. And I remember he said to me, Nomzamo, we are only doctors. I don't know what is happening with you. Please don't share any with this news of your pregnancy with anyone. And start praying like you've never prayed before.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And I did. I'm telling you, from that time the pregnancy was pronounced to around about 7 months, 8 months into the pregnancy. Everyone in the hospital knew me. I didn't stand in queues because when I get there, it was really, really serious. And I remember Dr. Chrysostomus used to say, and I would go with my mom because then my husband would be at work. I'd go with my mom. And he would say, lay pregnancy on a and it took me a long time before I could even in fact I never even had the edge of buying the bootisnyana, a rompanyana, or any baby stuff because I was busy doing the praying, but at the back of my head I was like, what if I just jinx the whole thing? So I never did until the one time we went out with my sisters, and in the middle of the outing, I felt like going to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom. My needs in the bathroom. Yay, I am bleeding. It was a live show. Yeah, but Anthony Hamilton, I remember, because they haven't forgiven me. They only spent like an hour into the show and then where to go. So the whole money basically went down the drain. Because we had to rush to hospital. When we got to hospital, emergency room, a doctor says, no, your cervix is open. You are miscarrying.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? No, your cervix is open. And once your cervix is open, it cannot be closed. We need to keep you here, put you on a drip, so that it can start cleaning your uterus.
Mm.
And I said to my husband, do not let that man touch me. Because for me, when you hear the news, I started crying. But in the middle of the cry, I stopped. Going back to the void you were talking about, I didn't have it. In my head, when I couldn't feel that void, I said, there is no mother who's told they've just lost their child who cries like me.
That's very true.
I've never lost a child. I don't know where I got that from, but I had to stop myself from crying and say, stop it, because this is not how a mother who's just been told she's lost a child cries. So I turned to my husband and I said, tell this doctor not to touch me. If I fall asleep, if I lose consciousness, just sit here and make sure no one comes near me until Dr. Chrysostomus makes it here. And while you are at that, I remember it was after midnight to 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Said to him, while you are at that, call my parents and tell them I say we are in hospital, they must wake up and start praying. And he was like, oh no, but it's late. I said, no, my parents wake up at 3 anyway. So they're about to wake up. So if you wake them up an hour earlier, honestly, it's not going to make any difference. But I need their prayers right now.
Yeah.
And he called them. And I understand they started praying. Now I was moved to the ward. He was still my munching Elani there, having to sit because my daughter only arrived in the morning. Took me to his rooms, started checking everything, and he said, had they touched you, you would have lost this baby because this baby is alive and kicking. Here's the heartbeat here. Instead of feeling angry, my sisters were angry on my behalf. Me, I was thinking, how many other women have been told they've lost their babies and they are grieved, and maybe their babies were removed while they were still alive. So they were basically killed before they died.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I thank God every day for giving me this miracle, Lord. You. And maybe that's why she turns out like this. She's still a handful living now. She was a handful in my stomach. She's still a handful now. But yeah, I was just what you're saying about the void that just confirmed to you that after the doctors have said there's no fetus in there, you felt the void, which was a confirmation. With me, I knew nothing about the void, but it was in there. And I knew that there's still hope.
Yeah.
Sure. And it's not even my interview, right? I'm telling my own story. And Shala, yesterday it was Mother's Day.
Yes.
You are a mother to 3 angel babies. Since 2018, how are you emotionally on days leading to Mother's Day, on Mother's Day? Do you get the recognition? Do you want the recognition? Do you feel you could be recognized as a mother? Do you see yourself as a mother?
Yes, I do see myself as a mother. God is amazing, I must say. I've always had this mother thing in me because I've worked with children for 10 years, 10 years of my life. So I've always have been recognized as a mother to the little ones, whether I gave birth to them or not. And when coming to people who knew my situations, I still thank God for that because there are people whom are very supportive, understanding where I come from and what I've experienced. So yeah, I do get those messages for Mother's Day, which means a lot for me. And there is no year where I feel left out or anything because the surrounding is just with positive people,
And those who know.
And those who don't know. And for those who don't know, I won't just put it out there for them to start feeling pity for me or doing anything that would make me realize that, oh, such and such would have happened, such things. So, um, like I'm saying, I've always had the recognition of being a mother because I've always worked with children who adored me so much. And yeah, like I've said, for people who knew and understood my situation, always regarded me as a mother.
How was yesterday for you?
Yesterday was fantastic, and yeah, I did get messages, which was so wonderful, and it really, really put my heart at ease to realize that there's so many people out there who'd still recognize you as a mother, whether you are holding a child or not. Yeah. So it was really a wonderful day for me.
That's good. And your journey to healing, does a mother ever heal?
Nope, I must say. We different people and we don't heal the same way. And the the journey that people go through, we go through different journeys. I always say to people, us as women, we experience different things, but then if you get to realize, the pain is the same.
Yeah.
You don't wake up and just heal overnight. You don't just wake up and say, today I'm fine, it means everything is okay. You might tell yourself that you got over something, but then there would always be those triggers. There would always be, you'd always have things around you that remind you that things would have turned out like this. My child would have been this years old, and it's such a I don't know how to put it, but it's a journey which no one can stand in for you as an individual.
You have to travel it on your own.
You have to travel it on your own at your own pace, and try as much as possible to be gentle on yourself because it's not an easy one.
Sure. Yeah, I remember my mother had a stillborn 32 years ago. And unfortunately, I was in boarding school. But my sisters were there to experience it all. And when I came back during the school holidays, they told me that your things haven't been easy at home. My mom was, now that I'm older and I understand it better, was probably sinking into depression. She refused to come out of the bedroom. She refused visitors. She refused going to church. And I mean, my whole mother refusing going to church, refusing prayers, refusing to read the Bible, expressing her anger towards God. And it took her quite a long time. I remember when I was home for the first holiday after the passing of my stillborn brother. And a boy for that matter, after 3 girls, how devastating.
Yeah.
And the pressure from the in-laws in our black culture and whatnot. So shame. I feel for her now that I understand better. But she would be in bed, sleeping with this picture of this small baby who looks so pink, yet so gray, yet so white. I couldn't tell the color at the time. And she would just sleep with this picture until my dad called my grandmother to come and deal with her child, I suppose.
Yeah.
And my grandmother kind of spoke to her daughter the best way a mother can. And we never saw the picture again. But I understand she insisted on having her child buried in a proper funeral, coffin, the works, all the way to a tombstone.
Yeah.
Because she said to us, who were like, but why? Like, I'm the one who carried him. He was my child too.
Mm.
He was too good for this world. And the whole sad period for her and us journeying with her, watching her become this different person
Yes.
in front of our eyes. The situation only got better when she fell pregnant again. And then she had my brother, who's our last Lamiki at home, Upagamile. So yeah, and that the pain I saw in my mom's face and eyes and voice, it's a pain that I never wish on any woman. And so many years later, I don't think she's completely healed.
It's something that, like I'm saying, it's something that you don't wake up the following morning and think I'm done and dusted. It's not something that you wake up tomorrow and say, look, this is my new life. I forgot about all the things that have happened, It's something that you encounter every day of your life without even you noticing sometimes, because like I'm saying, until you go deep into things, that's when you actually realize that, oh, this was something that has triggered for me to remember about the passing of my child, and yeah, it's really a journey that no one, absolutely nobody, can walk in for you and take that place, Just that moment where you feel, now I'm too exhausted. Can somebody take whatever?
Can this cup pass?
Yeah, like can whatever that I'm feeling, the overwhelming thing that I'm feeling, can just someone take it, So it's not something. It's not an easy journey that one can walk in.
And what do you wish people who haven't traveled this road knew about the stage one finds themselves in after being told by medical professionals that they've just lost the baby? And I'm not just talking baby pregnancy, though in your case it is, but a loss of a child. It doesn't get better whether you lost the child in pregnancy, at birth, a week later, 10 years later. A loss of a child is a loss of a child to a mother. And how would you explain the path from the moment you are told?
I would encourage other women out there to be fully supportive of one another. And, if we could have people who are judging you by what you have, we would have a better society. Because if I am Sheila and I once fell pregnant but I do not have the results, then someone who doesn't understand what I went through wouldn't understand the journey that I took for me to be there. You understand? So if we could stop judging one another and support one another, that would be something that builds another woman, and it's not a journey that you could wish another woman to walk through and to walk into, but situations you don't choose for yourself. You wake up happy today, tomorrow it's another story. But what I'd simply say is that God first.
Yeah.
God first, because in my situations, in my cases, I don't think I would have been here talking to you, because I remember with my second pregnancy, the loss that I had, it was between life and death when I had, yeah. So, but other than that, if we pray for one another, be there for one another, it makes life so much easier to know that Nomzamo is there for me. Even when I do not want to talk to anybody, but just a mere phone call, it makes a difference in my life that at least someone is there. So being positive and being there for one another, it's absolutely amazing.
I think, and us not giving up on you, because, like I'm saying, when my mom went through the works,
Yes.
and it would have been easy to say, you know what, I can see me again. Let her wallow in her sorrow.
Yes.
When she's out of the dip, then she's out. Then we'll carry on. But you sit there, even if you have nothing to say.
Yes.
You sit there, no matter, you just sit and you don't have to say anything. You don't have to. You just sit there and Islam tissue.
Yeah, just handing out the tissue.
Yeah.
Because I usually say that, you don't have to say something to make someone feel better, but just your presence, being there, it means a lot. Because eventually, when that person is out of that devastation state, then when they become themselves, they actually get to realize that, oh, Nomzam is such a wonderful person. She really means well for me. So I would really encourage women to not give up on each other and be supportive at all times.
And stop judging.
Which
is a common thread to what the lady who was sharing her story last month when we were covering the topic of autism. She said the same thing. Can society stop being so judgmental?
Yes.
Because honestly, unless you've walked in my shoes, you have no right. And I came across a post on Instagram in the last couple of days, and it went something like, when you see my pregnancy, and the next time you see me, I'm holding no baby, don't ask. When you see me driving a car, and then the next day you see me in a taxi, don't ask. When you see me in a double story today, and next week you find me coming out of a shack, don't ask. When you see me with a wedding ring today, and tomorrow you ask me about the husband, or you don't see the wedding ring, don't ask. Yes. Just be
there. That's what I wish for us as women, to actually be fully supportive. There are moments where you feel you just need to be around girls, around women who are not going to judge you about anything, but just to be there, have a great laugh, and see the bigger picture, that you do have women in our society that are there to empower you, who are there to actually give you what you never expected from them. So support is very important.
Do you sometimes feel angry with God? 3 times is a lot.
I know. But remember, the Bible says, your plans are not mine.
True.
I used to, but not anymore. Because I've realized that in my situation, like sometimes you hear people say, our baby is a planned baby. You get such stuff. How? Like I ask myself, okay, 2 months down the line, when you share a conversation with them and like, yo, my friend, I'm so broke. Like we had to take a child to the doctor and whatsoever. And then you're like, okay, since the baby was planned, surely the finances were enough.
Well, yeah.
Like you won't run out of money to take the child to the doctor if the baby was planned. Like before you could even think about pregnancy, already your mentality, you start saving, And then when you have a baby, it's not a situation where you now start thinking, okay, this goes to a separate account, which will just be for the baby alone. So I got to realize that with situations that I've went through, I just have to be grateful. I have to be grateful that it happened, so that on the other hand, God is showing me that you are able.
Sure. It's amazing how what we say without thinking is the quickest way of noting how deep your faith is, or how far in the journey of faith is one. Because once you start talking about plans and in the narrative, we can sense that you still don't understand ukuthi they are your plans and God's plans.
Yes. So you might plan and things don't happen the way you planned them to be. So like I'm saying, with cases that I've been through, like I've said, with my second pregnancy, it was between life and death.
Sure.
Had I not realized, and everything was just normal, I didn't even realize. Like, I just sat with an ectopic pregnancy, which is very, very dangerous. Like,
sure.
As weeks goes, the more the fetus grows, and if it grows in a wrong place, then
the possibility of a rupture.
Yeah, like when I found out, it was at that stage where at any time it could actually rupture.
Sure.
So when I walked out of that theater, and I got to realize that had it not been the hand of God, or just a wake up call that, hey,
could
you need to rush, it could have been a situation where now my family have to mourn me. So
double loss.
So I was grateful that it happened, and I had to go through it for me to be a better person. Because some things, they happen in order to unleash that beast in you, so that you can see the great person you are, the strongest points that you never saw, like the strongest points that you didn't even realize that you had. So it's a situation where I used to ask myself, God, why me? Why do other people have and I do not have? But I've learned that be grateful that it happened, and be grateful that God is showing you that you are able to. So in that matter, I learned not to lose hope, but to be grateful that God is still giving me the mentality of having hope that one day it will happen.
Perfect timing, because we know He's never late, He's never early, always on time.
Exactly.
Wow, Sheila. Thank you so much. I just want to wrap this interview with a post I shared this morning, but the experience I once witnessed. I'll just read it as I wrote it this morning. I remember going to see my cousin who's just had a stillborn. The way wayekhala ngakhona. Her mom told us she hasn't eaten anything. She refuses to talk to anyone. She's just been crying. She did that for many days after, until my aunt called my mom for help. To this day, I don't know what my mom said to my cousin, but that day she got out of bed, went to take a bath, and ate. I asked my mom what she had said to her, and all my mom said was that they spoke from one woman who's lost a baby to another. I haven't had the guts to ask my cousin what happened that day that my mom must have said to get her to. It was like, remember the story of David mourning his son,
yes.
when he had the news that the son has finally passed. Only then stood up, went to take a bath, started eating. Nagu, it was like that. Stood up, went to take a bath, and she ate. So yeah, sure. To all the mothers who are going through stuff out there, especially being moms to angel babies and those moms who've lost their kids, it doesn't matter at what stage of their lives. We understand. And sometimes maybe we don't understand, but we're there. And we are doing our best through sessions like this to be enlightened about how we can be there in a way that you want us to be there for you. This was Nomzamo on the couch with Ushela, sharing with us her journey as a mom to angel babies. I hope you enjoyed this interview, and I hope you share. You are going to also share your stories uh, underneath the post, and just take us through your experiences, your journeys, and how you want other people going through the same thing to learn and walk the journey better. You know, Sama Koskas, Sabo Mama, Sama ladies, Spamba name, this is her name. Ushala mentioned, can we stop being judgmental? Can we stop asking too many questions, but rather be there for those who need us to be there? You don't have to say anything, just be there the best way you can. Siabonga, thank you very much and have a wonderful afternoon. That was me and Shella on the couch. Have a wonderful afternoon. Until next time. Bye bye.